I'm Inger Tudor, and you are listening to the Audio Description Narrators of America Know Your Narrator series.
Today, we're very happy to have Nicholas Corda. He's a voice actor and has some pretty special audio description things to be able to share. Thanks for joining us, Nicholas.
Thanks for having me.
What do you love about audio description?
So I love being able to engage with TV shows and movies in a way that is generally someone like myself who is not differently able wouldn't necessarily experience, because I usually watch things without the audio description. But I also, in addition to that, love being able to help those who are differently abled or who are blind, visually impaired experience things in a similar way that I would get to experience them in a more complete fashion, I guess. And I also just love performing it because I think in many ways, I'm sure it's been called similar to audiobooks, and I love working on, audiobooks and just doing narration. So, I just love the work.
And you use the word engage with the material. When you say engage, what does that mean for you as a voice actor, as far as audio description goes?
I was mainly talking, I guess, as a viewer, but in terms of as a performer, we usually, are just the characters in the world of the show or what have you, but we're not actually bringing the visuals of the world and describing that in a way that makes it come alive. We're just being the characters generally, unless, we're playing a narrator in the world of the show or movie. Yeah.
It's a really unique nuance there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important and something that should be more recognized and just more, I don't want to say taught, but, everyone should be aware of it. Because I know that there are a lot of people who, are seeing and they use it, when they're at work or what have you to, watch their favorite shows, but they listen to it in a way like a podcast or what have you, which I think is also fantastic.
Can you contrast what being a voice actor is, for example, on the shows that you've been a character versus audio description track when you're voicing an audio description?
Sure. I think often when you're playing a character, you're kind of immersing yourself in that character and also trying to bring their point of view to the performance. Whereas with audio description, it's more, I think, pulled back and more of an overall point of view and still wanting to portray the action that is happening. If it's an intense scene, having, just a tinge of that in there, but also letting the listener and viewer form their own opinion rather than invoking an opinion upon them, if that makes sense.
It's a really great way of saying it. And when you say pull back from the audio description voicing, can you talk a little bit about that? Does that mean that you're kind of phoning it in, you're giving less than what you normally would give?
No, I think in terms of basic scene work, they talk about everything as if it's like, a dialogue and being room for the other person to give you something and then you play off that. And I think in terms of that specific dialogue with audio description, that other person is the audience. And you don't want to give too much because you still want them to be able to have their own experience in this.
What's your background with voice acting? How did you start?
I kind of just started, I was doing theater for a while. I still do, but in this pandemic world, nobody is really doing it. But, I started as a theater actor, and then I just started taking classes, voiceover classes, and then casting directors just started to call me in, and I started booking things, and then I got introduced to audio description and adding that to the fold of things that I do, and kind of the rest is history.
When you think about some of the challenges in audio description, how did you overcome those?
One thing that I really try to focus on with audio description is really being present. And I try to be very present in all my work, but I think being present will allow you to engage with the material and paint a better picture of what you are saying. Sometimes, especially if you're going through long passages of text, it can seem easy to just kind of fall out and just read. But I think paying attention to what you're saying and engaging with that, really A, helps be a performance, but B, also paints a better picture for the viewer of the material of the TV show or movie.
Very cool. And in that being present, you use the word engage again. And as much as it's for the audience to engage, here it is, you're engaging with the material so that the picture's painted. It's kind of neat how that comes around.
Yes, absolutely. As art, I think any art is a dialogue, or should be.
Do you consider audio description art?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's definitely an art to it. I think it is part of other forms of art and is an art in of itself. So I think that's kind of a cool, not a hybrid, I would say, but a cool sort of, it is both an art and travels between different art forms, if that makes sense.
It does. And, it's funny exploring how audio description is a form of an adaptation. In other words, I think about a TV show that's adapted from a book that somehow is an adaptation. And in a sense, audio description is its own unique script based on original source material.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the work that the writers of audio description do is really, really important, because in a similar way to how like a translator or a script adapter for, a dub script is responsible for bringing a version of that text that speaks to the audience that it's for in a way that doesn't dilute anything. Similarly, with audio description, they have the same responsibility.
Have you done any writing in audio description?
I have not. I'm an adapter for an ADR script for dubbing, but I have not, as of yet, done any audio description work in terms of writing.
Where would you love to see audio description go if you had your dream world?
If I had my dream world, well, I would, again, love to see it more, prevalent, and people know, the mainstream audiences of film, television know, what audio description is, because most people, I think, don't really know if they don't, engage with it directly, if they don't work on it, or if they're not, using it.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Everyone should check out audio description and be aware of how it helps those who traditionally can't engage with, film or television, engage with it and be able to watch it and experience these works the way everyone who isn't differently abled is able to experience them. And I think it's important, and I think it should continue, obviously, in the future and be as prevalent as possible.
How can people reach you, either on social media or otherwise?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Nick Justin Corda, Instagram at Nick Corda, and my website is www.nicholascorda.com.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Roy. Pleasure.